All right, all right, all right. Welcome to another live episode of Becoming a Cop YouTube channel, part of the family of the Police Applicant Podcast and policebackground.net. And of course, as always, welcome to my very amazing co-host, Rob Berry.
How's it going?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Doing good. Adjusting with the time change, as everybody probably do, because we lost an hour on Sunday, but not bad.
Man, I can't catch up to that yet. I'm still like an hour. My hour is not my time clock is on still the last time, and I.
Oh yeah,
it's just terrible for me.
If you wait, if you just leave it like that, and then eventually when we go, we gain an hour, then I'll be right again. So you just leave it.
I'm gonna have to, because I don't have anything I can do about that. Hey, big welcome to anybody who's live. We don't have anybody in here live. Wait, there are two people live. If you're in here live, go ahead and say hi in the chat. We post the chat messages up, and I'm trying to see if there's a very special person that's visiting us live. They said they would be on here, so I'm gonna see if they're going to be live. But if you have any questions or anything like that, add them on. We go live. Another explanation about this: we go live because I'm too lazy to record them ahead of time and then edit them and put all these super wazoo graphics and stuff like that. This just makes it easier. Plus, somebody could show up live and then we can answer questions.
Right. I think it's easier this way.
Yeah, I like it. It's easier for me. But we're going to talk a bit tonight about our main topic is going to be what to expect before and after the academy, because that's kind of an important thing for police recruits.
Yeah, it's a big thing because what to expect during, but then I think even more importantly after the academy, what's next? Because everything built up to the academy, but then it's like, all right. Then when you finally graduate the academy, then what?
And they're two completely different things too, because, well, I don't want to get into it too much before we answer our first question, but I wanted to address a question that was, or a topic that was sent by one of our I got a text.
Uh-oh.
I got a text. So,
we'll share the text.
Well, they're saying that
as long as it's safe for the internet.
Yeah, they're saying I look great, which is embarrassing to me because it is. But
so that's why you're blushing. All right, I see.
That's why I'm blushing. It's there's one of our people that subscribe, El Pollo Patillo Food Truck is one of our subscribers.
We have a food truck. All right.
We have a food truck that is subscribing to us, and they said for our next episode we should talk about the importance of filling out the PHS right the first time and saving the information, and especially in 2026, why that's so important. Because I've looking at I've looked at thousands of PHSs from here to New York, and basically, Rob, they're almost all the same,
right? And they might have different formatting, but they're all asking the same information.
Yeah, and there's places like ESOF and LEPD has their own PHS online. ESOF is online. National Testing. There's two in Washington State, National Testing, and I can't remember the other one. And there's Guardian Alliance and all these PHSs. And
Peloton,
what is it?
Peloton. I think it's called Peloton or Peloton.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Um, and I've been doing backgrounds for a long time, but what I found is that the information that they're collecting is almost all the same, right?
Hmm.
Throughout the years, the PHSs haven't changed. I've kept up to date with all the technology and all the questions and everything. The only thing that's changed in the background is how the information is gathered. Things are now, because of
Right.
tech stuff, it's all online. You do things via email and all kinds of stuff. So the mechanisms are different, but all the information is the same. So I keep up to date on all that stuff as far as backgrounds go, and I see almost no changes on PHSs over the years. Is that what you found out too?
Yeah, because I mean, like like I said, it's all the same information. They're gonna ask you, everywhere where you've lived, names of your landlords or roommates that you had, past jobs. They all ask the same information, but like you said, formatting might be different. How they're gathering it might be different, but it's all the same.
Yeah. And so I feel confident that as far as the information that we've give out is good no matter what department. In fact, not only have I looked at PHSs from across the United States, Canada as well. And the interesting thing
Really?
about Canada is their PHSs are about the same too. So it's
I mean, if you think about it, like, I mean, so PHS, or even like if you're trying to get clearance in the military or whatever, everybody's going to be wanting the same information. It's your background. It's who you are.
yeah.
So realistically, it shouldn't change. I
And
mean,
and
it is what it is.
besides, I think probably the only questions that have changed is your social media presence.
Yeah.
What's that footprint look like? But aside from that, almost everything's the same. So
Right.
let's talk about why it's important to fill out the PHS the first time correctly, and then I'm going to have you go into the online PHSs. So the main thing that I want to say about the PHS is that when you fill it out, have a master PHS. That first PHS that you complete, a lot of people call me and they say, I put this on a PHS and I think I didn't put it on the other one and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, how's that? Well, I didn't keep a copy of it. First
Yep.
off, if you're going to fill out a PHS, keep a master copy. Everything on that PHS is going to be the same no matter what department you apply to because you're going to use the master PHS. The only difference is that you're going to change it if you move, if you change jobs, you
Right.
get married, you get unmarried, whatever. That's going to change, and then you update the PHS as you go.
Right.
But you need to have a master PHS. Don't get caught in that situation where you don't know what
Nope.
was on one PHS because
Right. Now, I will say it sounds, I mean, just on the surface, and this is playing devil's advocate, it sounds like, well, you know, are you trying to game the system or some of that? But there's a higher or a better purpose to it. There's a reason why, you do it this way. And I mean, I'll talk about that in a second, but you can keep going. I just want to say that. It doesn't, it's not, how should I put it? It's not like you're trying to cheat the system or, omit information. There's a different reason why you want to have a
well,
master copy.
what do you mean by that, Rob?
Well, I mean, you're talking about, and no, I've never done this because I kept a master copy.
That's right.
But like, since if if it's something you didn't normally recall, let's say you had a traffic ticket 7 years ago that you completely forgot about, but then when you're filling out one PHS, you're like, okay, I remember that, and then like 2 weeks later, you go to fill out another PHS and you forget about the traffic ticket you had seven
Right.
years ago, and you don't put it. It's not like you're purposely trying to omit information. It's something that you didn't readily think of, but that's the reason why it's really good to have a master copy, because then everything you remember is right there in front of you. So you don't, have a forgetful memory and be like, oh, I forgot to put that.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to young people in their early 20s, and this cracks me up because I can remember stuff going back, I don't know, 40 years. And I've asked candidates, so what are the details on this? And they'll go, I don't know, man. It happened like 2 years ago. I'm going, you serious, man?
Really?
Yeah, and that's why you have the master PHS. Another reason for that is that some background investigators, not all of them, but a lot of them, they'll hit you up if you have on one PHS that you did weed 3 times, and then you
Right.
put on the next one 5 times, or it's the opposite. And they'll hit you up on the smallest little thing, and they'll DQ
Yep.
you because your PHSs don't match. Because obviously you're lying on one of them,
Right.
so
Right. I
they're
mean,
going to
and
DQ you.
right, that's kind of, the thing I was gonna hint on is that, it's, you know, if you fill out a PHS for one department and fill out for another, they're gonna talk to each other, because that's part of the PHS is who have you applied to, where you're at in the process, are you in backgrounds? They ask if you filled out a personal history statement. So they
Right.
know, like, if you say yes, they're gonna see what you put on there. And you
Yeah.
don't want to get trapped where it's like, all right, even if it's a minor discrepancy, this is something I tell everybody who's going through the process. It's not like, for instance, you're the only applicant. There could be hundreds of applicants, and so you're always being compared to somebody else.
Mhm.
So if you're being compared to somebody who doesn't have any discrepancies in their PHS, even something as minor as, let's say, a date, or dates where you live somewhere, or like you used the example, smoked weed 3 times versus 5, that might be inconsequential really looking at it. But if you're being compared to somebody else and they have to choose who's going to be moving forward, well, they're going to choose a person that doesn't have any discrepancies, even if it's something as minor as that.
Yeah, and they have to weed out the people if they only have X amount of spots. Let's say if it's a smaller department and
Hmm.
they've got 3 positions available and they've got 10 candidates. Well, your PHS doesn't match, so you're out. They have to find a way to weed
Right.
people out of the process.
Right.
There's no reason. There's absolutely no reason to not have a master PHS because that'll save you a lot of time. Here's the problem. We're going to get into the online PHSs, and Rob's going to tackle this one because I'll give you a for instance. If you apply to an agency that uses, say, ESOF,
Hmm.
ESOF lets you print out your PHS, but it's not a
Right.
complete printout. They'll leave pages off, and so it's not the
Really?
easiest thing to do. Yep. Yeah, you can
I
print it
did
out.
not know that.
It's a hit and miss because say your employment is 3 pages. When you print out
Hmm.
your PHS, it's not going to print out page 2 and 3. Plus, with ESOF, if you when you
Really?
print stuff, yeah, when you print stuff out, um, when you print stuff out, it screws up the chronological order of your entries as well.
Right.
So you want to be able to have a PHS, and I do like the California Post PHS. If you're going to use a master one that you can actually print out for real, the only thing to keep in mind on
Right.
the California Post PHS is California no longer asks candidates if they've used marijuana.
Yep.
So you want to make a note somewhere, or I don't care what PHS you complete. Make sure it's a good long PHS, and make
Hmm.
sure it's accurate. And one last thing before I take the whole time is that with the PHS, make sure you complete it. Have somebody proofread it.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So I'm going to have Rob talk a bit about online PHSs because those can be a can of worms to me.
I mean, so it can be just because you don't know how the formatting is going to be, but also you have to manually input everything. Where it's like I remember doing one for ESOP, for Guardian, Palicon. I think it's Palicon. I forget. Um, oh, I didn't realize we were live streaming today.
Kelly Squigs here.
So and he actually might have a question for us. He asked me earlier, so hopefully he will ask you the question he asked me because you know better.
Ask
But
away.
going back to the PHS, so there's different softwares, different ways that departments ask for, the personal history statement. But for me, and this is where I think you can make your stand out, actually make it a lot easier for the process, is if you have a master copy, like California, for example, like I said, you mentioned before, it's You can get it on California's Post website. You have a
Hmm.
master copy there. When you go to fill out all the electronic ones, because it's a tedious process. Like some of them are like,
Yeah.
you know, uh, like 30, 40 pages long, sometimes even longer, depending on what they're asking. It'll take you a few hours. If you have like a master copy, it makes it go a lot quicker because you already have all the dates, like you have all the information already in front of you. So that way, when you're filling it out, you don't have to reference back. You don't have to think. It's like, oh, okay, here's everywhere I lived. All right, let me fill it out. Yes,
Yeah.
the PHS is traumatizing. It's lengthy, but if master copy makes it so much easier because then you don't. But then here's the other thing too. If you're able to finish that quicker, guess what? You're moving along in the process a lot quicker. So like, and you look a lot better, I think, to departments because if you let's say today, today's Tuesday, you get a request, okay, fill out your PHS, and they'll give you like 2 weeks usually to submit it. If you submit it a lot quicker than that, let's say you submit it by Friday, well, guess what? You're actually now going to be looked. I think, at least this is my belief, you're looked favorably on because you did things a lot quicker than the deadline because most people wait until the last minute to finish it and they're
Hmm.
scrambling around at 9 o'clock at night. But then they can get started on your actual like the rest of the process a lot quicker because
Yeah.
the process goes as quickly or as slowly as you want it to go.
And then you brought up a really good point because I just talked to someone the other day, and they said they go, "Can I get a PHS review?" Because the department wants my PHS next week, and I'm going, man. I tell people if you're going to complete a PHS, do it like 2 or 3 months ahead of time because you may have to track down employers and coworkers and uh,
Yep.
residents, neighbors, and all this kind of stuff that's going to take longer than a week. So have a PHS ready to
Yeah.
go, even if you're just thinking about applying. Have a PHS ready to go.
Right. And
So, but
it doesn't have to be exactly the same form or anything that people use. You have a master copy, like I said, California using the California Post one. It's great because then you're ahead of the game.
yeah, let's talk about, let me see here. He has a question, Kelly Squid. Do all of the matters, or only the ones that you show up to the department and take the tests with the matters? Do all do all, I'm not understanding the question.
Me neither. Speak English.
Kelly Squid, can you do us a
Or do
favor?
only hold on. Do all of the matters or only the ones that you show up to?
Only one shot and take the tests
Oh, I
with
think I know
the
what he's talking
matter.
about. So
Oh,
do all the PHSs matter or the only ones you show up and take the test with them matter? So I'm thinking I think what he's asking is let's say you applied to 10 different departments and you filled out PHSs with 10 of them, but then you're only moving forward in the process with like, let's say 5 of them, use run numbers.
mhm.
So do all of them matter equally or only the ones that you're moving forward in the process matter, I guess?
That's a great that's a great question.
I mean, I think, and this is, who was it that told me this? It was one of the background investigators I've talked to before,
Hmm.
other than you. Uh, I think he said that, you know, so let's say you applied to 10 different departments, most likely because the PHS is pretty early on in the process. They're really only going to contact ones that move forward after the PHS because you've applied to 10 different departments, you fill out 10 different PHSs. That's a lot of stuff because they have to wait to get responses from these departments and stuff like that. So they're really only focused on the ones that you're actually moving forward in the process.
Yeah, it depends on the agency. I don't know exactly if they have the same rule at
Right.
LEPD, but generally speaking, most agencies, if you completed a PHS and turned it in, well, let me backstep. Say you completed 30 PHSs.
That's a lot.
The background investigator is going to hate you. The
Yes.
second thing is that uh, they're going to at least want to reach out to each of those agencies and get a response back
Hmm.
about the PHS to see if there's a hard copy, not a hard copy, but a completed PHS on
Right.
file. If it turns out to be an application only, because a lot of times candidates fill out the PHS and they go, "Did you apply?" "Yes, I applied." And then it turns out it's an application only. There's no PHS involved.
Right.
The background investigator still has to verify that there's no PHS. If you completed a PHS, depending on it could vary by background investigator, but for the most part, if you completed a PHS, the background investigator is going to want to review that
Hmm.
because that's where you get into the thing, right? Where how can
Right.
you tell if one PHS matches another if you don't review it?
Right.
And
And also too, like you mentioned before, somebody's applied to 30 different departments and filled out 30 PHSs. That's if I were a background investigator, I'd be cursing myself because that's a lot of applications.
that is a lot, and I hate it when that happens. But background investigators are pretty slick. You know, they know which ones are important because you'll get responses back from the agencies, and depending on the response,
Right.
they will. If it turns out that it's a non-select and all they did was turn in a PHS, they're going to want to review it.
Right.
So, Callie Squid, in answer to your question, it depends on the PHS, but all PHSs at face value are important. The
Hmm.
ones where you actually turned one in and there could be a review. Now, if you start reviewing PHSs and the person turned in 10 and all of them were about the same, you're going to stop reviewing PHSs because there's no DQ, there's no non-select, and the
Right.
PHSs seem to all match. You're not going to waste your time doing all those.
And also too, part of it as well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, like you kind of mentioned before, somebody says, "Oh yeah, I filled out PHS," and they find out it's only an application. You kind of want to verify, like, where are they in the process? Like, did they omit, like, say, "Oh, they only filled out PHS," but in reality, like, they did the interview, got to backgrounds, and got disqualified. You want to know that as a background investigator.
Right, those ones are going to be a review. They're going to want to know about the DQ. Here's
Right.
another thing too. What's one of the ways background investigators find out if you applied somewhere else and didn't disclose it? It's on another PHS.
Yep. So if you've applied, because I know this of some people, they applied to, let's say, 20 different departments, and they didn't want to say they were in backgrounds with one agency, but they, yeah, like you mentioned, they maybe omitted a couple departments on one PHS, but then added to the other ones.
Yeah. And so if you get caught leaving off a department, or if it is inadvertent, if you leave off because you don't have a master PHS, oh my gosh, this happens a lot. I forgot all the agencies I applied at. And you leave one, two, three, four, five of them off because you've applied so many times and you don't know which ones you applied
Yep.
to. They're going to get you for dishonesty because you omitted,
Right.
these
And
agencies.
nowadays too, most of the time, I mean, you can go into government jobs, and most agencies, all some agencies, probably smaller ones, you don't apply through there. If you go to government jobs, it shows your application history there, so it's pretty easy to figure out which ones you applied to.
Yeah. We got a question from Kelly Squid. I did the shotgun approach and I did not have the chance to go to all the test dates. I only ever showed up for two agencies out of maybe 40 applications. This is a really, really good question because back in the day when Rob first met me, long time ago,
Too long ago.
2008, 2007.
You still haven't remembered? We talked about this before.
I don't remember yesterday.
January 2007.
Okay, so 2007, back when Rob first applied, because he's an old timer now,
Oh,
a,
don't say old.
a veteran. Back when he applied, it was not a good idea to apply to maybe three, four
Oh yeah,
max
no.
departments. But
Hmm.
here we go through uh, the years, and there's these agencies now. What is it? .gov or I can't remember what the government
Uh, g-
jobs.
yeah, governmentjobs.com. It's where most agencies post their job applications now.
Yeah, so when that started, then it became a thing where candidates they didn't really, you know what? The smart thing to do is only apply to agencies. We talked about this. Only apply to
Yep.
agencies you want to work at, generally speaking. But the common thing now is you go to government jobs, you fill out one PHS, and then you go, hey man, look at all these departments, bam, 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 and now you've got like Kelly Squid has 40 applications.
40.
This is
Right.
very common. This is very common because you want to do the shotgun approach and get as many chances as you can, and out of those ones, maybe a bunch, 10 of them show interest in you.
Right.
That
Right.
you otherwise, the other way to do it is to individually fill out PHSs for each agency.
Right.
So if you just applied like that, Kelly Squid, nobody's going to care. Those are just apps only. The ones those two that you go to, those are the important ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, realistically, because I remember there were places I applied to and I never heard back from them. That could be either just, and so that's the thing too. It's like if you applied and never heard back, I mean, I've had people ask me, should I put it on, on my PHS? Should I not? And I'm like, I'd put it on there. I mean, obviously, if you have 40 applications, it's going to be a lot because I think each page on the PHS for applications only holds like 7 or 8. So
Yeah.
that would be a lot of pages.
But the bottom line is you need to list them all.
Yeah. Yep.
So even if you applied one at a time, you need to list them all.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me see here. And another thing, we talked about this a little bit ago. One thing to watch out for in the PHS is on the online ones is changing answers.
Oh yeah, and you also, like I said, you want to review it, double check everything because, if this is like your 5th PHS you're filling out online, make sure you mark the correct answer. Because I think actually, I think on one of my applications online I marked like yes when it really was no. So technically I could have been disqualified from that one, but I think my background investigator asked me, is like, did you mean to mark this? And I'm like, oh no, like no, definitely not.
Yeah. And here's another reason too with these online PHSs. They're tracked. Your answers are tracked. So what you should do is if you're going to change an answer on your PHS, change it on your master PHS before you ever turn in a PHS.
Yep.
Because let's say that you fill out your PHS online, and it's one of the big online PHSs, and you say, I did marijuana 10 times, and then the system records it, and then you go later and go, you know what, I only did marijuana 5 times. I like that better, 5 times. The background investigator sees that you change your answer from 10 to 5 every time you change an answer. So on your PHSs, these online ones, only put in answers that you want to keep, because if you change them.
Okay, so now I have a question for you. So when you're saying they record it, so let's say they record it before you even submit the PHS, or so like, really?
Because you can't change it after you submit it. All of them, they're locked in. Once you submit it, you can't get it back.
Huh. I did not know. I didn't know that they track. Like, so, if I put something while I'm filling out the entire PHS and I haven't submitted it, but then I go back and change something, they could still see that. They could see I made the change. Huh.
Yep.
That's scary.
Well, you don't have to worry about it, but
nah.
And that's where and the biggest thing about it is it comes in with drug use, because they want to know, are you lying about your drug use? Did you use it 5 or 10 times? And if you used it 10 times, why did you just put 5? And so that's where it becomes important on those ones. If you say, I only lived here and I only live with these people, and you go back and you add a roommate, nobody's going to care about that stuff.
Yeah, no.
Things like that. So Kelly Squid, you got any more questions? Let us know. We're going to move into the and for El Pollo Tapatio food truck. I hope we answered your question, because I promised him that we were him or her. I promised them that we were going to answer this question. So I hope we answered your question for you. Let's move into the other part of this live, and
during and after the academy.
Yeah, because those are two completely different things, right? You prepare yourself before,
Yes.
and then is there, and then we can tackle this later, but is there any way to prepare yourself for after the academy for FTO? So,
So, I mean, yes and no. So, yes, there is, because preparing and understanding that, comes from my experience. What you learn in the academy, very small of what you're going to experience in the street. Um,
yeah. Oh,
like
you're
you
reading.
said,
You're like the guy. Oh, look, cat, squirrel.
but you put it up there.
I,
Okay,
you know, it's
going back to the question then. Yeah, so I mean, when you actually finish, graduate the academy, you go into your FTO phase. I mean, it's like you're drinking from a fire hose. You get a little bit of experience in the academy, but once you actually go out and patrol with an FTO, it's vastly different. I
Mhm.
mean,
Yep.
most of your knowledge and learning comes from actually being on the streets, actually patrolling and being with your FTO and handling calls and stuff like that, because the academy does a decent job with what they have of A, trying to stress you, B, making sure you know just like the very basics of everything, and trying to prepare you. Although I think they can do a better job of preparing you for FTO phase, but FTO phase is very, I mean, vastly different for every single person. Like I remember when I graduated the LAPD Academy way back when, the first division I went to was South Central. I was not prepared for that at all. Um,
What division was that?
whereas singing,
What division was that?
Southeast.
Southeast. Man, that's definitely South Central.
Oh yeah. Somebody just asked, if you get awards in the academy, does that correlate to success on the streets? Short answer is no,
It means
because
you were good in a static environment.
very static. Like, I mean, because typically in the academy you get, there's like top shot, like academic ones, stuff like that. I mean, it doesn't correlate to what happens on the street, because realistically, I mean, like I said, you're drinking from a fire hose. It's all mental. Like, just because you're able to do something in the academy doesn't mean you can do it in the streets, like and patrol. Um, it's, and honestly, nobody cares whatever awards you got in the academy. It's the academy. Your the academy is kind of like you're a. This is the way I kind of frame it, and I apologize if I offend anybody. In the academy, you're like a baby. You're learning to crawl, learn to walk. You're stumbling about. You have just enough to basically get yourself in trouble and not hurt anybody or hurt yourself. When you go into
Yeah.
FTO phase, then you're kind of like a toddler / a child. Like you're learning to do some things on your own, but you still need that the parent figure to kind of guide you along and make sure you don't kill yourself.
Yeah.
And then finally, when you graduate FTO phase, however long that is, that's when you're like, you just turned 18. Now you're like, all right, you can be on your own, kind of, but you need to kind of learn your way around things.
Yeah. I want to put a pin in Kelly Squid's comment. He says, I'll wait to ask Rob's question at the very end. Um, you know, I don't know what that means, but yeah.
I don't know either. We'll figure it out.
Lauren wants to know, what should candidates prioritize in the academy, if not the glory of public acknowledgement and a ribbon? What's it?
Who
What's
gets
the
ribbon?
purpose?
I mean, okay, so prioritizing the academy, first and foremost, is like actually graduating the academy. That's, and this is what I see a lot, and not necessarily with, I mean, I guess it depends on the academy. I'm a very big fan of a paramilitary academy,
Hmm.
because, like the stressors that you deal with on a daily basis while actually, working on the streets, there's only so much you can do to prepare for that. The academy does a good job if it's paramilitary, but even then, like, you're still in a safe environment. You're not going to get hurt. You're not, somebody's not going to be there to try and fight you and actually try and physically hurt you. Whereas if you deal with, let's say a domestic violence scenario in the academy, okay, like it's a static environment, you're in a safe space, there for learning. But when you're out, with your FTO and you actually encounter a domestic violence situation, gloves are off. Like that person could try and hurt you, or it's going to go vastly different than what you imagined. So I
Yeah.
guess, one, prioritize, graduating the academy, but also understand too mentally that very little of what you're actually going to, be learning on the streets.
Yeah, and the academy is divvied up into modules, and there's a ton of them, and
Right.
your job in the academy is just to be the very best at each module. Obviously, it's kind of like college. You take the classes. The person who gets 90 and the person that scores 75 at the end of the academy, everybody graduates.
Right.
But your job is to get the best scores that you can. So what you prioritize is every single module, whether it's self-defense, tactics, shooting, PT. You have to be the best at everything, because if you set your sights, if you go, I'm really good at at PT, and then you don't focus on report writing, then you know what, you set the bar too low.
Hmm.
Set the bar as high as you can. Prioritize every single module in the academy, and when at the end of the day, when you graduate, those scores are going to be a permanent record that nobody cares about. I mean, maybe they care about them when you promote or something, but I mean, the academy, are they going to really prioritize, you know, how you did in the academy to promote you to training officer or sergeant? I don't think so.
No, I mean, I can tell you, like, no one cares nobody ever looks to see how you did in the academy. Because realistically, I mean, you graduated, so guess what? Hey, you're blessed as a, law enforcement officer. So it doesn't matter whether it's kind of like, talking about, there's a saying like, if you got an A, like in medicine, doesn't matter where you score an A or a C, guess what? You're still called a doctor.
Yeah,
And nobody
yeah,
cares what. I mean, name the last time you actually talked to your doctor and say, "Hey, what grade did you get in, on this class in school or whatever?" Nobody cares.
yeah. And I graduated. It's going to be almost 46 years ago. And nobody in all those 46 years, Rob, nobody ever asked me how I performed in the academy.
Right? Because
So,
realistically, I mean, I will say so. This is one thing. Takeaway, just my experience, thus far where I'm at is in the academy. Prioritize, take it week by week. Like, don't try and look ahead to see, okay, like, oh, I know week 15 I'm doing this, and don't think about weeks in advance. Just focus on current week, and then focus on what you have to do that week. Don't try and think ahead about what you need to do in a month or 2 months or whatever, because then you're not going to be putting the effort and the focus on what you're currently doing. Be present on what you're actually doing. Don't worry about what's happening later on in the academy, because
right.
you'll get there, but focus on what you're doing now. Like, good example is, in the what I'm doing right now, the lateral academy. People are talking about, because talking about blocks and modules. We have 5 law modules. We're on module 2. People are talking about looking at module 5 and the general knowledge exam. It's like, all right, well, that's like months away. Like, let's focus on module 2, which we're currently on, that we're being tested on next week. Don't worry
Hmm.
about something that's months away.
Yeah. I do want to get back to a question that Kelly's, or a response to Kelly. Oh, here we go. Um, One of the BIs told me it doesn't matter if I did once or multiple. The bottom line is I still smoke weed. I don't quite understand the statement, but my guess is that um, if it was in California, the the BIs can't ask about marijuana, and
Right.
so and then how they calculate uses. If it's in one sitting, normally background investigators will calculate. It doesn't matter how many puffs of a marijuana cigarette that you take. That's one use in one
Mhm.
sitting. It's one use.
Right. I think what he's talking about is, what one of the BIs told him, and I don't know how long ago he's talking about. It could be after they stopped asking about it, but it does basically doesn't matter whether you smoked it one time or 100 times. Fact is, you still smoked weed.
Yeah.
And like weeds, obviously, like you mentioned, weed's different now. Like they don't ask that.
No.
California,
No.
it's legal, so but yeah, like yeah, I mean, I can see where the BI talks about like saying, hey, it doesn't matter whether you smoked it once or 100 times, you still smoked weed. They're true, but they're the BI is accurate, but at the same time, it's you know like what the not importance but significance of it is.
Yeah. Kelly, I was just bringing that comment up, even though it happened a while ago. I wanted to address it. That's why there's a delay on your on your statement, because I brought it up, even though it came out later. Do you want to hit his question? Was it a question? Let's tackle this one.
I think I know what his question is, although I completely forgot it already.
Because you're
Even
old.
though if I'm old, then what are you?
Older.
Yes. Yeah, I totally forgot what his question was. I could probably look it up, but
Oh man.
yeah, I totally forgot. I'm gonna have to look it
Okay.
up. Now it's gonna bug me.
He says he's going to ask the question. Here's my question. He said.
Oh, there you go. Oh, that's the question. Yeah, that's right. Self-sponsored academy. Okay, so the question he had asked me, kind of, I'll paraphrase it or put in better terminology. So, obviously, I know in California you can do this in some places. I don't know about other states, but self-sponsored academies. So, obviously, it's some people, let's say LAPD, you go to their own academy, whereas like you can go to a self-sponsored academy like a Rio Hondo. I think at Yuba City College you can do that too. What's your take on somebody putting themselves through an academy like that where they pay, you pay for, let's say Rio Hondo, you pay for, go through their academy. You still have to get hired, but how do departments look at it?
Usually, smaller departments are the ones that send out headhunters to academies to hire people. I'm not a huge fan of self-sponsoring unless you're a top-tier candidate, meaning
Right.
that you're going to get the best scores. Your background is great, because most of the full-time academies, you quit your job, you can't work because it's a full-time academy. It costs
Right.
money. And I can't remember the last, maybe Rio Hondo or a place like that. Are they like $5,000 or something? Um, the uh, the thing about them is that it's a crapshoot, as far
Right.
as you getting. And there's people that get picked up in the academies. That's why there's headhunters from recruitment units that come out and I spy the people going through the academy. I've known people that have gone through the academies, paid all the money, stopped working, all that stuff, and then didn't get picked up.
Right. I mean, I think you kind of hit on a big point. It's like it's a full-time academy, let's say Rio Hondo, so you have to quit your job in order to do it. So, is it you're basically, it's like a risk versus reward. I'll self-sponsor the academy, pay thousands of dollars, quit my job on the hope that a headhunter or somebody from a small department is like, hey, we want to hire you.
Yeah.
It's a big risk versus reward.
Yeah. So, I mean, my response to that is that, if you're a top tier academy, I mean, a candidate, and you think you can get hired right away, then go for it.
Right.
Otherwise, I don't know that I would want to spend the money and stop making money to go through
Right.
the academy.
And I think too, like, it's not as prevalent here, or not here in California, because I'm no longer in California. I don't think it's very prevalent in California. Maybe in other states it's more prevalent, more rural areas where there are like self-sponsored academies. So I think, yeah, California, I don't know of any small department that would take somebody from a self-sponsored academy. Most agencies, if you go through the process and get hired by them, they're sending you to one of the bigger academies like OC
Mhm.
sheriffs, LA sheriffs, Very few send it to LAPD's academy, but they send it to bigger academies, and they have a couple of candidates in there.
Yeah, I think my best advice is to get hired and have them send you through an academy.
Right.
I got a question for Rob here.
Yes, I saw that.
Rob, since you are currently in a lateral academy, have you noticed any growth in your performance or mindset this time versus your first time in the academy? Lauren, you're asking Rob to go back a long time ago.
It almost 20 years ago. That's crazy. 19 years ago. So, I mean, yes, definitely. My mindset's a lot different. I'm also a lot older, so things are a bit different there. But I mean, I would say my mindset's different in that I know what to expect, but also too, where I'm at. The lateral academy, it's run differently than a basic recruit class. Like a basic recruit class, they're brand new, usually a lot younger, and they don't know anything, so they get treated differently. Whereas a lateral academy, it's a lot different because obviously those are people who've already been officers before, and they're essentially changing departments. Like I have a good friend of mine. He's in Nevada. He just lateral to a different department in Nevada, so he's going through a lateral academy right now. And I mean, you get treated differently in a lateral academy. That being said, just because you get treated differently doesn't mean you can be lackadaisical or slack off. Like me, my perspective is, yeah, even though we're treated a lot differently, I'm going to act a little more like a recruit just because one, it's mindset. Like, hey, I'm in a new department, different state. I don't know anything. Like, I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. Like, just because I did so many years in LA doesn't really mean much. I'm still learning everything over again. Like, I'm all new laws, all new policies, stuff like that. So I kind of operate a little bit more like a recruit in a sense, like humble, saying yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, stuff like that, where I don't need to, but that's kind of like my mindset.
I've heard I've spoken to people that have lateraled to different agencies, and I get two different things. One is that the department respects, when you get in the field, the department respects your experience and the fact that you were a copper already, and that, hey man, welcome. And then the other side is some departments treat you like crap, just like you are fresh out of the academy. You're 21 years old, and they treat you like crap. I've heard both.
Right. I mean, it varies by agency. I will say this, and this is one big takeaway I've had is, so, and obviously not gonna name names, not like anybody's actually from the lateral academy I'm part of is watching this, although you never know. But one thing I've been told by other laterals who've gone through the same process is, yeah, like, I had a number of years at LAPD. Doesn't really matter. And it doesn't matter how I did things at LAPD because I'm here now. Like, I'm learning their policy their way. So, yeah, while I might have a vast amounts of knowledge and did things a lot differently, it doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
that's why I said I'm starting over again, in a sense.
It can go either way.
Yep.
I
It's
do
all of
want
what you
to
make of it.
I want to insert a shameless plug here. This is our sponsor, me. If you this
Nice
is all I
sponsor,
got.
yes.
I'm sponsoring, and now a word from our sponsor, me.
There you go.
If you have not purchased my very insightful ebook, Police Background Investigations Inside the Mind of a Background Investigator, that mind would be mine. It's a good buy. I think it's a good book. I believe Lauren has read it, and she's so much far ahead of the pack as far as books go. All you got to do is scan the QR code and get yourself a copy of.
I might have to get myself a copy.
Yeah, learn everything I learned. I mean, I don't understand why you're not a background investigator already. Doggone it.
I mean, so this is like kind of hitting on Lauren's question, like, growth or mindset or whatever. I've got a different mindset of, like, I've always said, it's kind of like my second lease on my police life in a sense, because there were a lot of things that I did in LAPD that not necessarily regret, but do things differently. I'm gonna do a lot of things differently in background investigator. I know where I'm at. The background investigators, that's like their part-time stuff. They're normally like detectives and stuff like that. So you never know.
Yeah, I feel like I've taught you over the years everything there is to know about backgrounds. Uh, yeah, if you guys could please remember to like the videos. I don't know how this all works, but we're trying to grow the channel, and
Mhm.
I brought Rob in here because he is the eye candy,
Eye candy. I don't know about
the eye
that.
candy for the show. And if you like and you let people know about it and you subscribe, somehow YouTube likes us a lot if you
Yep.
do that. So please do that. Let me see. I feel like there's another question here. Oh, this is interesting.
Uh
Rob, Rob works better as an instigator than an investigator.
oh. Certain times, maybe. I'll just leave it at that. I do love ice hockey, so I've got that. Oh, bring him. No. Oh, I know who he's talking about. He does. So I know who he's talking about. That person doesn't want to be on here, unfortunately, and I get it. Like he's a private person, so
He's a private person. And
yeah.
Lauren says, let me guess, Rob's going to a small town without
Nope.
giving away all the secrets.
Oh no, it's not a small town. Not as big as LA, but it's definitely not small.
Yeah. So
It's a large metropolitan city, somewhere
a,
not in California.
a well-known
It's
city.
very well known.
But I don't know if I was a cop in SoCal, I think I would probably envy your choice
Oh
of where
yes.
you ended up and the state that you ended up and all that. I think that was a
It's
good decision.
absolutely. I wish I did this sooner.
And you're happy. That's the most
Oh
important
yeah.
thing. But
Now when I finish the lateral academy and get on the streets, I'll be even happier.
yeah, I believe so. Um, so we've tapped into what to expect. I think to prepare yourself for the academy. I think most people focus on physical training. That's all you
Yep.
can really focus on.
Right.
Um, if you go to an academy where whatever codes they use, 10 codes, plain English, whatever codes they use, maybe practice those.
Yeah.
Um, maybe some of the most common. You know what I really like for everything is AI for Chat GBT or Copilot or Google Gemini, Genesis Gemini. I think it's Gemini,
Gemini.
where if you could just I want to work for this department. Tell me everything there is to know, and also what kind of codes that you could find out ton of stuff on
Yeah.
AI.
I
Um,
would so a caveat to that, I would if you get stuff like that, try and verify the information it's telling you because I know it wasn't too long ago uh doing a requalification course and people were having ChatGPT create study guides. Well, some of the answers that ChatGPT was generating were wrong, and they actually almost failed the test. So,
I would not rely on it for that.
no.
For things that are like monumentally important.
When it's make or break, like if you pass the test, you pass. If you don't, then you got to retake it.
Yeah, sometimes you have to actually study
Yeah,
on your
I
own.
know. Shocking.
Kelly Squid wants to know how long after the academy do you get
Adj-
adjusted to the life?
Never.
Ooh,
Um, it depends on what you mean by adjusted to the life. Like, I mean, while you're in FTO phase, pretty much you're. I would say it takes a couple of years to get adjusted to it. I mean, because once you're off FTO phase and you're officially like, hey, you passed probation. Now you're like kind of on your own. You're still trying to figure things out. You kind of get in a little bit of routine after that, but it takes a while. And then,
yeah.
of course, shift change and all that fun stuff that comes with it, you never get adjusted.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of nowadays what I'm hearing is the recruits coming out of the academy, a lot of them don't they're not used to the shift work.
No, not at all.
It's 2 o'clock in the morning and you don't get to go home till 6 or 7, and they're not
Yeah.
used to that. The other
A
thing
lot of
is that
people don't want the night shift.
no, the
It's
the other
fun though.
thing is that the old rule kind of used to be when you had 5 years on the job, you kind of get settled in, and you're used to it, and you can call yourself kind of, well, I don't know if you can call yourself a veteran at 5 years,
Nowadays, you never know.
but
Um,
yeah,
I mean, yeah,
yeah,
a 5 year mark is a good mark. Like you kind of, LA, that's when you get your first hash mark, and it indicates you have 5 years on. I mean, so yeah, 5 years on, you kind of you feel comfortable, like okay, I can handle most things.
yeah. I
Um,
remember the hash marks are important because I remember when I had 5 years on, I got my first hash mark.
you
And
get your
for
first
anybody that
French
doesn't
fry.
know, hash marks are the little French fries, the little
Yep.
patches on your long sleeves. And when I got 10 years on, the sergeants didn't mess with me because pretty much I knew what I was doing. When I got 15 years on, the lieutenants pretty much didn't mess with me. When I got 20 on, nobody could mess with me. So,
Yeah.
what are you going to tell a 20-year copper? How to do
Nothing.
stuff? But Cali Squid, I absolutely love the night shift. It's when the funny people
Well,
come up.
where he works, I could see that. Yeah.
I used to love PM Watch. At the time, we were working 8-hour shifts. PM Watch from 3 to 11:45, something like that. But my
11:45 p.m.
yeah, but then
Hmm.
we used to get 45 minutes for lunch, and then but my best most I loved this shift was mid PMs. It was the
Oh,
shift in between PMs and graveyard morning watch, and that was 6 p.m. to 2:45 in the morning.
that's my favorite. Like, well, obviously not 8 hour shift anymore, but that's my favorite shift. Is like, you know, yeah, it's a mid PM. It's it's in between. It's to me, it's by far the favorite because then you get home and it's still dark out, so you can actually have some semblance of a normal sleep
Night,
schedule. But
yeah,
then you wake up and it's like, okay, like it's daylight. I could do some stuff before I go into work.
yeah, and at night. Man, at night is when all the knuckleheads come out. When the
Yep.
shooting starts and the robberies and the car chases and all that was nighttime. Just the best time ever.
Oh yeah.
So I say,
That's actually what I'm
um,
hoping to go to when I graduate the academy or Lateral Academy is go over here. We have three shifts: A, B, and C. C is like your night shift, and B is a swing like base of the mid PMs, and that's kind of what I want to go to.
yeah, and depending on the department, um, how long you can stay there. But I knew people that loved working graveyards, and I hated graveyards.
Yep.
I hated day watch, which was 7 in the morning.
Uh,
7 in the
I was a
morning.
day watch copper for a long time.
I hated that so bad. It wasn't very often that I was on it. Somehow I got
Yeah.
booted up there. But man, I hate those times. I hate those hours, and I hate graveyard because after like 3, 4 in the morning, I had a partner that were. It was like in the middle of the. It was maybe 2 o'clock in the morning, and we were stopped at a red light, and it was just us and the stray dogs. There was nobody
Yep.
on the street, and and the light turned green, and he's just the car is not moving. I look over and he fell asleep at the wheel.
Yeah, that's never a good thing.
Yeah, because your body just doesn't, it doesn't always
You
work.
never really get adjusted to it because then on your days off, like okay, you get off at let's say 6 7 a.m. If it's your day off, okay, well, do you sleep for a couple hours and try and stay up and get a normal schedule? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if I would never get, and to this day, I still stay up to about 2 a.m.
I'm I'm waking up at 4:30 a.m. every morning now. So like actually, so it's funny. I'm waking up over here when you're going to sleep.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I feel bad for you. But when I
Don't
was
feel bad.
working backgrounds before I retired in 2018, I was taking the train to LA, and
Oh
I
yeah.
would get up at 3:45 to get to the 5:30 train.
Oh yeah.
And I don't even know how I did that. I have no clue how I was getting up that early. And I was going to bed like in 7, 8,
Yep.
and it was a drag, man. I didn't like it. So um, I think that was pretty good. Hey, if
I
you
think
guys if you guys are listening right now or after the show, send us your questions or
Yes,
post them
we
in
need
the.
more topics.
We love to. This is these episodes are supposed to be from a candidate's perspective. Rob being the candidate.
Yes.
'Cause you just last year, the year before, you went through backgrounds to get hired on your lateral stuff, and so you're quite
Which
familiar with
one?
the most current. You know
Yeah.
what's going on.
Oh yeah. I've all those systems we named: Guardian, ESOF, Pelican, whatever it's called, Pelican. Yeah, I'm going through all of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So Rob knows that, and if you have any questions, uh, put them in the comments after the video. If you come back tomorrow and watch the video and you want to add a question, let us know. Just like the question we had tonight, that was somebody that asked on one video, and we included it. If you ask it, I'll put it in there. And also, what else? Also, Rob,
What?
I have
didn't
no
do it.
clue. I have no clue. I stand up and I forget what I was going to go do. What was I going to go do? I don't remember. So
That happens when you get to like 80, 85 years old. It kind of just happens naturally.
thanks a lot. Thanks a
Yes.
lot. You won't be
You're welcome.
seeing Rob, unfortunately, on the show anymore. It's very sad. But so let us know if you have anything. I know what I was going to say. Also, if you would like to be on the show on a telephone call, we're going to be adding that as well. It'll be secret. You can be secret. You don't have to give your name. I'll get your number, and we'll put you on the show. You can talk. You can also, there's a way to send me a voicemail if you want to do it that way and not be live. Some people don't want to be live.
I know it's scary.
And you can send me a voicemail, and I can add that to the show, and you can ask your questions that way. But I think the best thing, Rob, is for people that want to be on the show, be incognito, and just have their voice show up and talk to us
There
in
you
real
go.
time.
Yeah, some people don't want their business being out there. They just want to. It's like all the anonymous users you see on Reddit or Facebook or anything like that. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, if you want to be secret.
Yeah.
So, but I think that will be a wrap for tonight,
Cool.
Rob. Oh, we have somebody made a comment.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm afraid.
I don't have that available. At one time I was looking into that where you could have a different voice and stuff like that.
It's because he has a very unique voice, and no, we're not. It's not witness protection voice modulators, nothing like that.
Yeah. So at this point, we do not have that available to you, but most definitely, if anybody wants to be, even if you want to be if you wanted to be on the show, you could. That would be fine as well. But Rob, you have anything else before we go?
I do not. Just if you guys have any topics from a Candace perspective, send them on over to Ken. We'll answer them, and if you want to be on it, come on down.
Yeah, we enjoy that. So thanks a lot, everybody, and we will chat with you later.
See you guys next week.
Yeah, see you next week.